All right, Chase, we're back from the break. I want to get into some hypnosis stuff with you,
Okay.
but I'd like to kind of wrap up the psyops stuff right off the before we dive into that here real quick. So, there's a couple things just left on the outline I wanted to hit. One was manipulation tactics foreign governments use to make normal people do violent things. I mean, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Would this go into bot farms and stuff like that as well?
Yeah. So the goal of a bot farm is to inflate tribe and authority. And it could be focus if something is novel or unique enough. So a bot farm can do that. And that's like, let's say there's something massively unique or different or interesting. Then it's so pervasive that a few authority figures or celebrities retweet it or repost it somewhere. And then there's so many accounts that it has the appearance of looking like other people in my tribe are liking this, and it's normalized to these other people in my tribe, so it must be popular. Therefore, and without me, there's no logic to this. Our brain's not logically going through these steps. We automatically accept things that we think the tribe is accepting, which is how these like weird, stupid ass ideas spread so quickly, because we have the illusion of lots of people doing this one behavior.
Okay. Okay. What are some things they would project to get people to do violent things? I mean, anything outside of what we've already talked about division and, aligning with a certain tribe and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So if I wanted you, let's say I want to weaponize Shawn, I'm going to show you videos of bad group of people doing really, really bad things all the time. And the more I can show that to you, you're building up hatred and all this other stuff. But what am I really shifting? What's the second step of psyops that we talked about is shifting context. The only time that you'll really want to kill someone, if you've never killed anybody before, let's say John that works at H&R Block, like we need to weaponize that guy. He has to be in a situation where he thinks he is preventing death or violence. And if I can shift that context into a violence scenario, your brain is already put into a place of this is a context where violence is acceptable and normal.
Okay. Okay.
So it's perception, then context. And then it's a PCP model. It's what we teach at NCI. You shift perception, then context, and then it equals permission. Perception, context, and permission.
Okay.
Those three things.
Wow. Learning a lot of stuff here. What is the neuroscience behind PSYOP?
It is the actual neuroscience is that it's weaponizing part of our brain that's looking around to see what everyone else is doing and to see if I should change. There's a part of our brain called the locus ceruleus. This is how we detect facial expressions in other people and whether or not you know in a grocery store whether someone's going to punch you or try to offer you a coupon or something. But this is our sensor for, is everything going as planned? Is everything going as it should right now? And the moment that stuff goes off, then we have novelty. So our brain says, whoop, there's something new. I need to focus on that. So that little focusing part of our brain is called the reticular formation. And that's the part that's active. Like if you're buying a white Toyota Tundra and you look at them on the internet for a month, and then you finally buy a white Toyota Tundra, you're going to see them everywhere. Because your brain, since you've been looking at it, says, oh, the human thinks that this is important, so I'm going to search for it everywhere I go. So that's our brain's little focusing mechanism. So if
Is there a way to shut that off?
No. I would say definitively no. So if I have told the mammalian part of my brain over and over again that this one thing is important, then the brain will just look for it everywhere. Like it's not like everyone went out and bought a Tundra at the same time as you. It's that you told your reticular formation or reticular activating system that thing was important. And the brain said, okay, Shawn's looking at this one thing. I'm going to search for it. I'm going to find it everywhere. Which also means that at the end of the day, maybe somebody comes home and they're like, hey, I saw 17 other Tundras on the road just on my way home from work. It's insane. I didn't realize everybody had one. But you'll never be able to tell somebody how many Toyota Corollas you saw on the road. because your brain wasn't searching for them. So a lot of times our experience of the world is not really reality. Our experience is what our reticular formation thinks is important and what it's searching for, and it will just kind of delete everything else. So our definition of the world is our definition of the reticular formation's priorities.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What can you explain the connection between cults and brainwashing techniques?
Oh, yeah. So brainwashing follows a 4-step formula. And that is, it spells out the word fear. So we had fate earlier, now we have fear. And that's focus, emotion, agitation, and repetition. So I'm going to gain your focus with tons of new novel stuff. I'm going to get you in and take you through this quiz or this personality quiz. I'm going to get you in and take you to this candlelight ceremony that's kind of soft and kind. Then an emotion happens. Now we have love bombing, or now you have to go through some trial or tribulation, some initiation. Then agitation. Now I have to disrupt patterns in your life. So if you normally do one thing, I'm going to tell you to do something different in your life. You're going to have to come in here every other day. So I'm going to agitate your schedule. I might agitate your social circle and say you need to disconnect from all those friends. So I'm going to do something to make your brain, it's novelty, just like what we've been talking about. So I'm going to inject as much novelty in your life as possible to agitate your brain so that it's brand new. I can rewire your brain because of that agitation. And then the final step of brainwashing is repetition. So it's working the same way that you would brainwash anybody, is the exact same way that cults work. Gain the focus, get them into an emotional state. And we talked about this at the very beginning of the show, that fractionation state, up and down, up and down. And they go down a little deeper every single time, which is very similar to hypnosis. And then I get the agitation. I'm going to disrupt your life. So like, if you want to change your life, somebody out there, like, I'm going to set goals. I'm going to make $1 million this month, or, whatever the goal is. I need to get that to myself. I'm going to brainwash myself using the exact same formula. So it's not like it's a bad formula. I'm going to harness my focus and where it goes through. I'm going to target all the emotions that I need to get. I'm going to get pumped and motivated and all these things. I'm going to get negatively motivated away from what I don't want. I'm going to agitate my life to tell my brain that something is very different as much as possible. Maybe I'll paint a room differently. Maybe I'll rearrange the furniture. Maybe I'll buy a new car. Maybe I'll shift my wardrobe around. Maybe I'll brush my teeth with my left hand. I'm going to do all kinds of things to agitate my brain so it knows that something is different. And then repetition. So I can change my life that way for the good or for bad.
Makes sense. Makes sense. When you do hypnosis too.
Yeah.
Why did you get into hypnosis?
It seemed cool. That's like, there's a guy in the UK. His name is Darren Brown. Maybe, I don't know if you've seen videos of him, but he was on Rogan. And he did this like stuff that looked like magic to me, and I wanted to learn it. But I got obsessed with like, what is it that makes people do things that are not in their best interest? And I read about people committing crimes using hypnosis. And like, there was a story in Russia where this lady would go up to someone, and then after about 60 seconds, she would ask them to hand over their wallet and their watch and all the money in their pocket, and they would just willingly hand it over. And she would say, okay, you're just fine. You were walking that way. And they would walk off, and they would report to the police. Like, I don't know what happened. She asked for those things. So I just handed them over. And then I was really confused. So that was fascinating to me. I wanted to learn how to do it, but it also, you can do all kinds of amazing positive things for somebody with hypnosis. You can get somebody out of an eating disorder or out of depression or all kinds of stuff. You can make them quit smoking or quit drinking. So hypnosis is just a cool thing that we go into naturally. And we're trance machines. All of us go into and out of trance, or what trance is, which we can dig into if you want. But it's essentially our theta wave brain function, about 7 hertz cycles per second of brain waves. And that means our brain is hyperplastic, hypersuggestible. And that's why, like, from age 0 to 7, we're in that theta brainwave state almost exclusively. which is why, like, when you're a kid, you can learn 4 or 5 languages, and you're like, yeah, I know all those. It wasn't stressful. It wasn't hard. You can learn Russian and Spanish and Swahili all at the same time. So that theta wave state is what you're accessing in hypnosis. And we go into and out of it 2 or 3 times a day naturally. And that's all really hypnosis is. And we could dig into whatever you want, but hypnosis is a lot of fun. And what got me into it was like, I thought it would be bad. I thought it would make me cool.
You were just talking about the trance, and if we want to dive into it, we can go deeper. Let's do it. What is that?
So trance is a mixture of 3 big things. So it's an increase in suggestibility, an increase in your level of focus, like how much I can take your attention and kind of pull it all down into one little place. And it's an increase in your dissociation. So, and this is when I'm kind of separating from my body a little bit in my mind. And I'm not like doing out of body experiences, but I'm getting to a place where your mind and your body are 2 different things. I'm going to relax your body. And we know that once you're in that state, a lot of changes, mental changes, become way easier. So you could use it to save someone's life, which I did on a Delta Airlines flight. There's a guy that was going to hurt himself, and he was jacked. Huge dude, like scary. Like I knew that he would probably kill me. And I hypnotized him in the front of the plane, and the rest of the flight was absolutely fine. And Delta gave me, I think, 1,000 points for that as a thank you.
Nice.
So you can use it for all kinds of stuff. And from a neuroscience perspective, there's 2 big things happening with hypnosis. The first is your brain floods with this chemical called GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid. And it's our inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's the one the biggest neurotransmitter in the brain that calms everything down. Let's just chill. It brings your heart rate down. Relaxes your body, relaxes your mind, and like what you're focusing on. And the second is this other chemical called homovinylic acid, which they've only been able to detect recently through spinal fluid under hypnosis, which increases in the brain. And those things allow your brain to become really plastic. So if you have a good hypnotist, then a person can actually help you. And this is proven by the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association. It's a proven method of treatment for a lot of stuff. But not everybody's easily hypnotizable. So people have varying levels of suggestibility.
Okay. What's the process like to hypnotize somebody?
It's pretty straightforward. We'll fix your mind on something. Dispel the rumors and myths that people get, like you're not going to be deaf, you're not in a coma, you're going to hear my voice the whole time, you're not going to get stuck, you can't get stuck in hypnosis. And this is not something I do professionally, hardly ever. But you talk to them in such a way that their focus is there, you're telling them to focus on something, you help them relax their body, and this full like body relaxation where you hear someone say like, your shoulders are falling and face is relaxing and all this. If your body starts relaxing, we start releasing a little bit more GABA in our brain. And you just kind of count down 10 to 1 and helping somebody go into trance. And then you just kind of say sleep. And that expectation of trance is what really sends someone into a deliberate trance instead of a random trance that we go into naturally. And once they're in there, then you can do the suggestions like, every time you reach for a cigarette, you're going to be nauseous or whatever a hypnotist might say. The only clients I really work with hypnosis is and this is kind of fascinating. I work one-on-one with people every once in a while, a few times a year, where we will do a full-on simulation, including having a medical doctor there, of a gastric band surgery, to where they go through the entire experience of having that surgery done. They can feel that band being placed on the stomach. They go through the surgery in their mind, and then they actually wear a bandage for a couple of weeks after. And they get about 80% of the results of 85% of results of what a gastric band surgery would do.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Holy shit.
So this has been used for several things like that. And just a few months ago, the first brain surgery, open brain surgery, was done with no anesthetic and only hypnosis.
What?
Yeah. And they've been using it as anesthesia for 100 years almost. For dental, you can have teeth removed, and they've done limb amputations where the person couldn't feel any pain. It is pretty powerful stuff.
How do you know when they've arrived at hip?
I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect indicator unless the person you're doing it with is wearing an EEG, like a brain scan machine. But you see their breathing shift. You'll see most of us breathe from our chest. When we're in conversation with people, you'll see it shift down into the belly. You'll see, even if their eyes are closed, you'll see the eyes kind of look up. Like if you try to look at the center of your head from behind, like you'll see the eyes kind of move in that direction, kind of roll upward. There's a few indicators that we look for, and those are the big ones. But the thing is that somebody might say, oh, I tried hypnosis a few years ago to quit smoking and it didn't work, or I don't think hypnosis works. But if you went down to Tijuana and got facial surgery by some drunk doctor, you're not going to say surgery doesn't work. You're going to say, I saw a bad surgeon, right? So who you see when it comes to hypnosis makes a huge difference. And whether or not they're, like with my clients, we do neurotransmitter analysis. We do blood work and all of that 60 days prior to the appointment. So everything is kind of balanced and going well before it even starts.
So what is it that happens when you say, whatever you said, if you eat whatever thing, you're going to become nauseous afterwards? I mean, that's in there.
It's in there deep. But we're setting up, it's not just me saying those words. We're setting their brain up to receive that data in a very specific file in their file cabinet. So I want the really important file, not the, hey, this is something some dude said. So I want them to pull that big important file out. And there's some phrases and words we use to get that file drawer opened and pull that file out for things that are permanent and things that are important, and get the old file out and put that new one in there. But you make it really vivid too. So like you'll actually, like if someone's under hypnosis, you can have them change their body temperature. You can have them alter their heart rate. You can have them not bleed. There's YouTube videos on this where they pulled people's skin up and shoved a needle through there and told them not to bleed on that hand. You can have them change the body temperature of one hand versus another from blood flow. This is proven. This is peer-reviewed research. So it is a really powerful tool, but it can be obviously weaponized like anything that's powerful and awesome. Like you got an M4 up here, and that thing can be a tool for good. It could be a tool for bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, this, I don't know, this makes MK Ultra pop in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds kind of similar.
They did a lot of that stuff.
Do you?
I know a lot about MK Ultra.
Let's hear about it.
There is, the background to it is the government was freaking out that there were guys in the Korean War saying, America's bad. I renounce my citizenship. I hate America. Korea, yay, Korea. Boo, America kind of videos. And they're like, what? There's some technology, because these are patriotic Americans being told to do all this stuff. So there was a start of what I would refer to as a mental arms race. And the Soviets were also doing this stuff too. And this is where you had weird stuff going on. We had like Project Stargate, like the Men Who Stare at Goats movie, and remote viewing and all this other stuff was going on. Then they started MK Ultra, which involved a lot of former Nazi scientists. Mm-hmm. And involved a lot of LSD and dosing people with massive, massive doses of LSD and ruining a lot of people's lives in the process. But it was an attempt initially to find some kind of a truth serum. And actually the Navy participated in the biggest one, which was called Project Chatter, which is a sub-project of MK Ultra. And with this guy, he's a professor at... it's in Hamilton, New York. I can't remember the name of Colgate University. His name's Dr. George Estabrooks. And he and J. Edgar Hoover are collaborating on a plan to use hypnosis to capture and hypnotize a German submarine captain and give him alter identities. And send him back to his fleet in Germany and have him torpedo the entire German fleet inside the harbor. And this was a legit plan. And I have access to the documents that survived the destruction order, and it was called Super Spy. And do you do show notes? Like the PDF in the comment or PDF in the description thing?
Mm-mm.
Shit. I would have sent it to you so people can download it. But
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it. We've
Okay.
done it before. I thought you meant
Okay.
We'll do it.
yeah, so I'll send it to you so people can actually look at these because they're
Perfect.
not public record.
Thank you.
I went to this guy's house, talked to a family member. These were like old stuff that survived the CIA's destruction order of all of this stuff. But it got weird. I mean, these guys had lots of power. This was called the OSS, which, as you know pretty well back then, we've got this guy running the show. His name's Wild Bill Donovan. And his instructions to the lead guys in every unit was to make merry hell when it came to MK Ultra. And they did this one project called Project Midnight Climax. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
They took prostitutes in San Francisco, and these women would lure these men back to the hotel and drug them with LSD, like high dose LSD. And on the other side of a two-way mirror, these scientists would be back there writing down God knows what, because that's all we really know about the whole program. But they were also experimenting with aerosol LSD. Like, can we disperse it into a crowd? Can we disperse it over a city? What does it do in water supplies? And just some insane stuff. But they discovered this way to create a Manchurian Candidate. And this is a lot of where some of these ideas came from. And this guy, George Estabrooks, perfected, or back then had it perfected, this system to create a Manchurian Candidate to where he could create an alter ego inside of an army officer. One of them was the normal officer, and they called him Jones A, and there was a Jones B. And we could send this guy through enemy lines, doing whatever. Jones A is a normal army officer. Jones B is carrying these vital classified secrets, radio frequencies, whatever it is. I made that last part up, the frequency part up. Who knows what he's carrying? So if Jones A gets captured, Jones B doesn't activate until he hears a very specific hypnotic phrase or hypnotic command under hypnosis. And they do that on the other side of the line. So they developed this stuff way back when. And one of the doctors working on this whole project was named Dr. Joylyn West, who may have been involved with the Sirhan situation and Bobby Kennedy, and which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But it looks like Sirhan to me. I'm 100% convinced that he was programmed to do that.
No shit.
It's not hard to do. I mean, look at the Milgram experiment. 40 minutes, kill a stranger. And they didn't use hypnosis. There was no like cool sales tactic or script that they had to follow. Everybody's concerned with like, what do I say? What are the exact words I need to say? It's, can you trigger the fate model? Focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. And if you get that, you get compliance. And if you get that plus hypnosis, then you can create the Manchurian Candidate. And it's not that hard to do. You don't need a bunch of advanced training to get that done. And I've studied that for a long time. So when I work with one-on-one clients who need a breakthrough or something like that, I'll use the exact same method to create an alter ego in a person that maybe doesn't eat 6 pounds of cheesecake every day. So you could take the exact same thing and put it in someone else that benefits them and acts as maybe a drill sergeant or a disciplinarian. And the reason that I started doing this or got interested in it, there are case studies and reports of people with dissociative identity disorder. So like two personalities or multiple personalities inside of a person, where one of them has a medically diagnosable condition and the other one does not.
Are you shitting me?
No, this is proven. Like one of them could be cortically blind, or one could have color blindness. One of them could have some kind of a diabetic condition. There were several conditions where these other personalities would have allergies, even skin allergies and rashes in response to cat hair. And just upon reading this, I'm thinking like, well, could I make someone with severe depression have an alter ego that doesn't have the depression? And we know that neurons that fire together wire together. So over the course of 6 months, if they keep doing this, can they kind of like rewire their brain if this alter keeps taking over? Of course, I didn't know. I played with it for a really long time. And man, our brains are fascinating, and how fast they can change and adapt. And if you've got a good person working with you, you can get a lot done. But that, I think the only other way to really alter mental plasticity that fast would be psychedelics. That's with like ketamine or a DMT or something like that.
So how would they do it with MK Ultra? Would it be they are in the middle of the journey, you know, the psychedelic kicks in, and then is it a hypnosis? I mean, because the way it's described is they're injecting thoughts, right?
Yeah. So it probably, there was never a recipe. My estimation is that it was a microdose of LSD, because as you know, in psychedelics, language loses more and more meaning the more psychedelics you do. So I was thinking it was a microdose of LSD, massive amounts of hypnosis to where the person's hyper responsive to that person's voice. So like when I see clients, they listen to my MP3 audio thing that's hypnosis to just help them go to sleep every night. So by the time they show up and see me in person, their brain is hyper responsive to my voice, and it's a lot easier. And then during that process, in my estimation, they used real trauma, like oxygen deprivation or something like that, to create a traumatic brain response inside of the limbic system of our brain, which makes us dissociate. And during this process of dissociation is when they put that second dissociated person, or part of them, or I don't know how the words to say, but they're dissociated. So while they're dissociated, they hypnotize them and then kind of create that alter ego. Tell them how they activate, tell them when they come up and what their personality is, what they like to do. You're here to protect the hosts. So like if I did this to you, Sean B's job would be to protect Sean A. Does that make sense?
Man, I mean, kind of, a little bit. I mean, I don't understand how person B comes out though. You know what I mean? How is that determined?
Person B comes out through dissociation. So that's where we get the name dissociative identity disorder. So when a person is going through some kind of traumatic event, you'll talk to somebody. I think you had someone on your show who mentioned this, who goes through trauma and they just kind of like exit their body temporarily, or exit this one globe of consciousness into this other piece. And when they shift over to this other piece, you can separately create this piece and give them an identity, give them a name. And if I can make something real in your head, then I can create it in reality for you. Mm-hmm. Which is why a lot of these cases of dissociative identity disorder were created by the psychiatrists in the 70s and 80s and the 90s. Because, and this is called iatrogenic dissociative identity disorder. So if you came to me, I keep using you as the example, but there's nobody else here. Sean, if you came to me and I was a psychiatrist and we were working together, you said, well, I have this thing going on in my life and it's X and Y and Z. And all I did was start talking about two different parts of you. And I say, it seems like there's a part of you that wants to eat the right thing, but there's also a part of you that wants to overeat. And you're like, yeah. And then I go into 5 or 6 other examples in your life. Is this like this in social situations? Is there a part of you that wants to hide and there's a part of you that wants to socialize? Yeah. So I'd go into all these parts. And then I would say, you know what? I'd like you to take a questionnaire. And this questionnaire is maybe 17 questions. And a lot of these people made it up on the spot, these little questionnaires. And if I tell you that you scored high in dissociative identity, I'd say, like, this person, this other part of you has their own thoughts, their own behaviors, their own life. And I think a lot of your issues are from not addressing this other part of you that wants to do these other things. And they're probably here to keep you safe. So just really quick, just between you and I, if that other part of you had a name, what would you want to name that other part? And you say, Stephen. And I'm like, all right. So I'd like to talk to Stephen now. So within the course of one session, I have a conversation with Shawn. I have a conversation with Stephen. And by the third or fourth session, you are fully living your life as if there are 2 people in your head.
You got to.
Because what happens there? There's a lot of novelty, focus, a lot of authority, because there's a guy in a lab coat or a guy in the psychology sweater vest holding the clipboard there, taking you through a lot of this stuff. The authority and your expectation is what sets the stage for this to become a reality. So you can accidentally get dissociative identity from a provider.
Wow.
And this is very well documented.
And so what was the point of MK Ultra?
Who knows? I don't know.
You don't know.
I think the initial aim was to figure out the perfect truth serum, which they thought LSD was some miracle for truth serum. And they were testing sodium amytal, which is another drug that's pretty well known as a good truth serum. And they were trying to figure out, can we really brainwash people? Can we create Manchurian candidates? Can we split people's personalities? There was so much that it was just wild. It was the Wild West. So it's just looking at what they did, nobody would ever be able to know what the ultimate aim was.
The most important action you can take today is to protect your family's future from cyber criminals and online predators. And the one app to do it is Bunker. Bunker is developed by experts with 25 years of experience catching criminals and fighting cybercrime. They created Bunker to protect their own family. Now they're sharing it with you. What do you get with a Bunker family plan? With the family plan, you get a private messenger to share messages, photos, and files with your spouse and children, connecting only with the people you approve. No spam, no surveillance, no imposters, ever. You also get a password manager to safeguard your family's online accounts, including financial, shopping, streaming, and social media. And with the family plan, you get a vault to help securely store your family's wedding photos, baby pictures, and special memories. IDs, birth certificates, and passports, and a vault for your tax documents, wills, trusts, and insurance. Go to the App Store or Play Store or visit their website bunker.life/SRS and use code SRS for 25% off your family plan today. That's bunkr.life/SRS and use code SRS for 25% off your family plan today. If finding what you need were a superpower, you'd be unstoppable. Parking spots, holiday gifts, clothes that fit like they were made for you. Just imagine how much time you'd save if everything showed up the moment you needed it. While you may never instantly find these things, if you're hiring, you can find qualified candidates right away, time and time again with ZipRecruiter. And today, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology works fast to find top talent. With ZipRecruiter's advanced resume database, you can unlock top candidates' info instantly. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Want to know right away how many qualified candidates are in your area? Look no further than ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. So how would they get personality B to trigger on demand? I mean, if they were going to have a Manchurian candidate or, an assassin or,
Yeah.
any, bad actors. I mean, how would they trigger personality B to carry out whatever the mission is?
It's pretty simple. A lot of repetition. So like if I continually deprive you of oxygen and then afterwards, every time you dissociate, I'm say, now I'm talking to Sean B. And what's your number one goal? You want to protect Sean A, right? And the number one way to do that is to go do this one thing in this place. That's the way to protect. Is that your goal? Is that what you want to do? Good. And every time you come out, I might set up some kind of a trigger. Once you hear these words, then you have permission to come out and do exactly what you want to do. And it's very easy. It's just setting up the expectation and then rehearsal. That's all hypnosis really is. But when you do it with this Manchurian candidate stuff, it's trauma, expectation, and then repetition. And it's not hard. I mean, if you could, without any of that trauma, any of that programming, no LSD, strangers will kill another stranger in 40 minutes, 67 at a rate of 67%. So people think like there's some advanced, crazy technique that you have to master to do a lot of this stuff. It's a lot simpler than most people think.
It's not that advanced.
It's not.
Man, that's fucking scary.
It is terrifying.
Do you think that program's still going on?
Yeah, we're swimming in it inside of our phone every day.
Yeah, yeah. We're kind of wrapping up the interview now, Chase, but I'm just, with a lot of the things that are coming out today, AI, voice manipulation. I mean, you see a lot of these AI videos that are coming out. They don't look fake.
Yep.
They don't look fake. I mean, now they have these programs that will, I mean, you feed it 30 seconds of your voice and it'll replicate it perfectly.
Yeah.
Minus, maybe some highs and lows and just how you talk as a person, raise your voice, lower your voice, but it'll even start picking that up.
Yeah.
If you give it enough time. So, I mean, what are your fears for, what do you think PsyOps, how are they going to develop?
It can copy your voice. I didn't know it could do that.
Oh yeah, they can copy your voice.
So I could listen to a romance novel that's narrated by you.
You could.
I might try that.
These guys are already doing it to my voice.
No doubt.
So, yeah.
So I think at the end of the day with all this AI, it's going to do exactly what we've already done. We are in a world where we've got our friend Joe Rogan. He's got more views than almost all of the media because that's contrived, it's narrative driven, and it's artificial. And people are right now just starving for something more real. And I think over time, AI is going to become so pervasive that all we're going to do is crave something real again. We're going to get into a place of being extremely distrustful of digital assets and digital media in general. And I think that distrust of digital media will drive us back to a place of craving some kind of reality and
Actual
realness.
human connection.
Yeah. So I think that it may be the thing that pushes us backward toward where we need to be, reconnecting. And I'm not saying it's going to drive that change and change the world, but I'm saying it's going to create that desire for sure. It's going to create that desire for reality because we've already got it. And we're already seeing the world's reaction to shows like this, like the content that you put out. It's not heavily edited. There's not some narrative being cast and all that stuff. It's super real. And people are already starting to crave that stuff. And I think this is just going to push it even further.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I was expecting something a lot darker than that. So, I'm just being honest.
I brought you a present, by the way.
Oh, right on. Oh, I got you a little something too. I forgot all kinds of shit at this interview. I was getting
This is
too
the,
excited.
pop that thing open. And I got one for your team as well. So this is my newest book. There's a paperback of it on Amazon. But it is every dangerous thing that you ever wanted to know about reading people and all that kind of stuff.
Behavior ops. This is your newest book.
Yeah, behavior ops manual. And
Yeah, thank you.
that spiral on that thing, we've only got like 90 of the spiral versions left. The paperback is on Amazon, but you know Lisa Bilyeu?
No.
Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So his wife, I was on her show with her, and she wore that thing as a bracelet. Her whole arm fit inside of that spiral.
That's awesome. Man, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I had a couple things that on gummy bears. Every guest gets the Vigilance League gummy bears made in the USA, legal in all 50 states.
Let's try one right now.
Let me know what you think.
These are normal gummy bears.
They're normal. It's just candy. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
And they're good.
Not bad, huh?
Actually good.
Thank you. And then, I usually do this at the beginning, but I've got a little ahead of myself. This is so we have a Patreon account, subscription account, and one of the things I do is I offer them the opportunity to ask each and every guest a question. This is from Stephen Casey. With the proliferation of assassination attempts in the past several years, are you at all concerned about the possibility of Manchurian candidate type scenarios? Is science that far off from being a reality?
Which science?
Oh.
I think the Manchurian candidate stuff has been going on for a while. And here's the one thing no one ever talks about. A lot of people talk about this guy's got the skills, this guy did this programming. I think 80% of the hard work in doing that stuff is target selection and who you're going to pick to do that programming so that their backstory and all of that stuff lines up with the agenda that the person has at the end of the day. And it is very possible. And I say this as a person who's like, I've studied probably more than anyone in the world. The one thing I'll say I might know more than anybody in the world about is this kind of alter ego programming stuff. And I will say that yes, I'm worried about it. What was his name, John?
It's Stephen Casey.
All right. So for Stephen, yes, I'm worried about it. And I don't know if there's a way that we can really do anything about it, sadly. Being weaponized. So the science is there, and the science to hack the brain is only getting better. And it's going to be a new world very soon. And if like what we talked about, if AI keeps going, we're going to start this process of like, I need to get back to this craving something real, which is if you look at the trends on what people are following, the YouTube channels that are creating more real content. I just last week hit 1 million subscribers on my channel.
Congratulations.
Thank you. People are craving stuff that's not narrative based. It's not feeding you a bunch of bullshit. And people are just talking normally. I don't think we're going to go the other way. I hope we don't.
And I hope not. I've been hearing and talking about the human connection for several years, and I hope you're right. I hope it comes back to that because people are not talking.
I think there will be a portion of society that chooses to put on that advanced VR experience, like
Neuralink.
Well, I think way in the future that like where you can't distinguish that from reality. But it's also like, if you look at everything, how everything is a microcosm of the big thing. Our DNA looks like the galaxy and our eyes look like a star and all this kind of stuff. When we were on a break last, we talked about salvia and how a dude did salvia and lived like a 30-year life and like had kids and stuff and came back. I've read that probably 2 years ago. I've read about this guy. That haunts me to this day because like, what if that's just the next level and we're in that now?
I know.
Like the headset hasn't come off yet.
I think about that too.
I do all the time.
What if this is what if this is a simulation? What if none of this is actually real?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where to go from there, but I do think about that a lot.
More than I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do too.
What do you think? Do you think we're in a false reality?
I think this is a simulation.
You do.
Yeah.
You think this is a simulation?
But I don't think it's computer. This is what I mean. When our ancestors were around, the universe was made of fire and different elements of fire. Because that's
You
what they
think
knew.
I'm here right now?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
You don't think this is only in a projection of your reality?
No.
Have you ever thought that?
No. But if you look at the Industrial Revolution, the universe was a machine. If you look at the electrical revolution, when we started inventing electricity, the universe was all energy. And then you look at now, when we're in the age of computers, and the universe is a computer. So we're just using very, very limited, just our small, narrow perspective to make sense of something that's incomprehensible. When people say like, "Oh, we could not be in a simulation because the computer would be the size of the solar system or whatever," like, how naive for us to say that they use computers, or we use computers, or whatever this is, that we have some understanding of it because we're here and we're one of the youngest species on the planet. So I think there's not enough scientists out there who don't use the words "as far as we know." I think there's too few scientists who don't admit that we haven't got it all figured out.
Now, why do you think we're in a simulation that's not in a computer simulation?
Well, so first, I would say if you look at the people who've done psychedelics and all of those lessons, why do they all learn the same lessons? Why are they all getting taught the same kind of thing, mostly?
What would you say those lessons are, other than everything is one? That's what comes to my mind.
Yeah, if we go back to
Psychedelics.
the most ancient spiritual text ever written, I think, was the Hermetic principles. And this first principle of Hermeticism was all is mind. The universe is mental. And this was like 3,500 years BC. They were writing this stuff. And the second principle is as above, so below. And man, they had some stuff figured out back then. And I think it's maybe a simulation in that what we think is real is probably not real. Like the separation between atoms makes everything like 99.999% empty space. Like we're just emptiness. And there's so many things. Every new discovery of quantum physics and quantum mechanics is proving one of these ancient wisdom principles right. Every new thing that we figure out, this quantum entanglement or quantum tunneling or this double slit experiment.
What's quantum tunneling?
Quantum tunneling is where like a particle can like appear at another location.
I haven't heard of this one.
Now you've heard of quantum entanglement.
Yeah, I've heard of quantum entanglement.
And I understand quantum tunneling almost none.
So quantum entangling for the audience is basically if you split an atom in half, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You split an atom in half, put, A side over here, you put B side over here. Doesn't matter what the difference is. You could have one on fucking Pluto and the other one on the sun. And if you put a frequency on one, it will mimic the exact same frequency, no matter, it could be a centimeter away from it, it could be a galaxy away from it.
Instantly.
It will mimic what side A is doing or side B is doing. No matter.
So somehow information travels that distance instantly. No need to use light or anything like that.
They do not appear to be connected, but no matter what the distance is, they will mimic each other.
Yeah.
That's quantum entanglement.
And the double slit experiment says that matter isn't really matter until we observe it and look at it. I'm dumbing that down and turning it into a Post-it note, but essentially says something like that, which is like look at Minecraft. My kids played Minecraft growing up, and like they would fly through the Minecraft game and like the mountains wouldn't materialize into the TV until they got closer and closer to him. And then you'd see him like pop up. And reality works the same way, which is unbelievable. And I think we need to acknowledge how little we know. I've studied neuroscience for 12 years now, and we don't even know where memories are stored. We don't know. We don't know how they're made. We don't know what consciousness is. We have no clue of anything about consciousness. We know so little about the brain. There's probably 70% of the brain, like the anatomical structure of the brain, we're not really sure how they work or what they do. So it's okay. I think it should be more okay for a lot of people to admit that we're in our infancy of understanding reality to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think a lot about this all the time. It's like,
I obsess
is any of this real? Are
Yeah.
you here? Is this fucking room here?
Yeah.
Is any of this real?
Well, that goes back to the first principle of Hermeticism. The all is mind, mental. And I think that's pretty damn true of like a lot of the things that we see on psychedelics, a lot of the big revelations that people have. And I think a lot of it is like, don't take everything so seriously that you get on mushrooms, that you get from any kind of journey like that. It's like, stop pretending like it's not a game, like it's just a game. And just look at the Bible. The number one most repeating phrase in the Bible is do not fear. 365 times.
I didn't know that either.
Do not fear or be not afraid, like kind of variations on that theme. 365 times, most common phrase in the Bible.
What was quantum tunneling? We didn't cover that.
I don't know a lot about it, but I know that quantum tunneling proved or went back to the second principle of Hermeticism, which was as above, so below. But quantum tunneling is basically like creating some little wormhole.
Okay.
Somebody else could answer this
like
way better than me.
manipulation of space and space time or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to dig into that one.
It's worth a watch. I feel like I'm underprepared for you to ask me that.
Nah, I wasn't planning on talking about anything quantum, but I am curious. You had mentioned that these discoveries in the quantum realm are proving ancient theories correct. What are some of those theories that have been proven correct?
The ancient theories.
Yeah.
Like the all is mind. So when it comes to consciousness as we know it, there's a couple of lead or amazing guys that are doing research right now. Rupert Sheldrake is one of them. Federico Fagin, man, I wish you would get those guys on the show.
You have contact with them?
I will get you into contact with them. Yeah. But he wrote a book called Irreducible, and it's talking about our obsession with materialism. So let's say, like, if you wanted to understand why a Chopin classical piece makes you cry or makes people cry, you say, okay, we're going to figure out why this makes people cry. So we're going to go to the symphony hall. We're going to take all of these instruments, chop them into 5 billion pieces, and one at a time put all the pieces of these instruments under a microscope. I'm going to zoom in on the wood. I'm going to zoom in on the strings. And then, somebody's like, oh, shoot, there's music over here with notes written on it. And I'm like, all right, cut the paper up. Cut that piece of paper up and put the paper under the microscope so we can figure out music. Let's zoom into a piece of paper. So we're obsessing over material things, and we're ignoring things that are harder to prove. And you cannot do a lab test to see why music works or why love starts happening. And it's not just neurochemical. So we're really just, our modern day is obsessed with materialism and reductionism. So like, let me take this violin down to one shred of wood. Let me take this entire symphony on a paper and look at one molecule under a microscope. These guys talk a lot about this stuff, man. And it is so profound and beautiful. And the current theory of consciousness right now is that consciousness does not occur in the brain. And I think this was proven a couple months ago, or we had a step towards it a couple months ago. I can't remember the study, but he talks about it. Federico Fagin talks about this, and Rupert Sheldrake, that consciousness is something that comes from outside of our head, and our brain acts like a filter for consciousness. So that when we do things like psychedelic, is really muting and turning down that filter on consciousness.
They talk about this?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Wow.
I want you to get them on just so I can personally watch the episode.
I'll do everything I can to get them on. That sounds fascinating. You know, on another subject, I mean, on the break, we were talking about some laser, and I've heard this too.
Yeah.
I'll just let you do it, but basically it was lasers with ones and zeros visibly inside of the laser.
So let me just set this up. So if you bought like a DeWalt laser level at Home Depot and it paints that line across the wall, and then you put something in front of the laser to kind of diffuse it. So you take it from being a really thin laser line and then spread that sucker out so it's like 6 inches wide, big fat line of laser on the wall. And then you get somebody that's on DMT or psychedelics, almost any psychedelic, I think. When you look at that, you can see, number one, you can see through the wall.
You can see through the wall.
You can see through the wall.
Where the laser is, or just through the wall?
Right where the laser is, you can see through the wall. You can even put it on your arm, and the code changes on your arm. If your arm gets in front of where the wall is, the code is completely different.
Are you what?
I didn't believe this. So this was viral on TikTok. Someone stole the TikTok video and reposted it on their X account. I saw this guy. His name is Danny Goler. And he's one of my good friends if you want to have him on.
I'm listening.
I'll put you guys in touch. So I see this video and I'm watching the behavior of the people observing everything to see if they're lying. 'Cause I'm a behavioral expert. I'm looking for deception and lies and all this stuff all the time. They were all truthful. So I called my assistant. I said, get this guy wherever he is, fly him to my house, or fly him where we can meet up somewhere. I want to try this out. So we flew to a place. We wound up flying to a place where DMT is not illegal. And we shine this thing on the wall. And I've never done DMT before until this day. And oh my God, that's a whole nother 3-hour podcast. But while you are in the DMT state, you get close to the wall and you can see code that looks kind of like alien writing, like you'd see, and then some that look like kanji, Japanese characters. But the thing is, when you're hallucinating something, like sometimes hallucinations change and warp and modify a little bit. This is permanent, solid. So like, and if you move your head, the code stays in the same place. And if you move the laser on the wall, like you take the laser level and scoot it up, different code reveals itself as the laser is moving.
Wow.
And then you get 2 or 3 people lined up and they all see the same thing. And I have looked into this quite a bit because I thought there's no way this could be true. But the first time I saw it, I wept. There's a video of me watching it on YouTube. And it was just, you're seeing something, but you're left with no answers. Like the only thing you have coming out of that is like, what the hell did I just see? Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't give you any more knowledge about anything. But the big thing is, why are we seeing code? And where is it coming from? And what is it made of? And why does everyone see the same exact characters if they're all looking at the same place?
Man, that is crazy.
It is bizarre. And if you put your arm in front of it, the code completely changes, but only right where your arm is.
Do you have any theories on this?
None.
Nothing.
Once you see it, like your ability to think that you have shit figured out is gone. It's gone. I have no explanation for what the hell it is. But it's fascinating.
Wow.
And I think this is within our lifetime, if Danny keeps going with this research, we're gonna have a big breakthrough in consciousness understanding of like what the hell it is. But it's beautiful and makes you feel stupid.
Man.
At the same time.
Well, can I mention what you're getting ready to do, or do you want to if we keeping that up?
Oh, you can. Yeah, I'm going to make a video about it. Yeah.
All right. So you're doing the intravenous psychedelic experience that I guess, apparently basically almost nobody has done.
Yeah.
And gonna do some super deep work. Man, I would no bullshit, I would love to get you back here and just talk about what that experience was like, what you learned, what you saw, what you felt.
Yeah.
Would you do it again?
If you want to send one of your dudes down there just to get B-roll for that episode, then we can do it, man.
Okay.
So it's 4 to 5 hours of NN DMT. And they're essentially following like a kind of a slow drip protocol of how you would get anesthesia in an operating room. So they took these general anesthesia procedures, applied it to DMT to maintain a DMT experience for that long. And then 5-MeO DMT through a vape during that experience as well. And I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm going to be doing that soon.
Man, I mean, we just talked about MK Ultra. I mean, do you have any fear of any thoughts, anything being injected into your mind, your consciousness when doing an intravenous type experience?
You mean from someone speaking in the room or?
Anybody?
I know these people.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting to know each other right now. And, yeah, that would be horrifying. Because if you're doing DMT, you really got to trust the other person in the room with you that they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because I've had the same opportunity offered and I was like, I don't can't do it. There's no trust.
That anxiety, there's an anxiety spike when you first ingest DMT, however you do it. There's kind of an anxiety spike because you have to like pop out of your body and you have to kind of surrender your life a little bit. It's like dying to the chemical.
Regular DMT is a death experience as well?
Yes.
I did not realize that.
It's not like death. I mean, it's like something's like you're living inside of an animal and you get to crawl out of it. It's kind of how it feels to me. But some people, like if you're really, really wrapped in ego and like you have a lot of fear of doing that stuff, then there'll be an anxiety spike, which is why a lot of people will microdose an MDMA right before a DMT experience to help with that ego and opening your heart a little bit to what's going on.
Interesting. I didn't know that either.
It's a beautiful thing to mix, especially in a micro form. So you're not like rolling on MDMA. It's micro.
Gotcha.
But that experience when you're on NN DMT is kind of like a really, really low frequency vibration. And the way that I could describe it is if you had low frequency sound that is shaped in scales, like fish scales, sound that looks and feels like fish scales, just kind of like enveloping your body until the point that you're like exiting.
Interesting.
It is amazing. And Danny, the guy who did the laser experiment, he took me through DMT, my first experience. We did breath work for 15 minutes or so. You held the molecule over your heart for 5, 10, 15 minutes with gratitude and just saying thank you, thank you, thank you over and over again. And then going into the experience, I started freaking out. See, both of us were kind of military, rigid, and don't want to give up control, really. And I kind of fought it a little bit, and this face pops out of the wall, like 9 feet tall, in a loving way. Because you can see some crazy stuff on DMT, but it's very understanding and loving and pretty cool. And that's telling me to relax. And as she's saying that, Danny says, you need to listen to her.
Wow.
And because he had taken one hit of the DMT as well as I was going in. And dude, it just makes you ask more questions about reality. Like, where is it that we go? And I've worked with a lot of scientists, a lot of people. We're doing a lot of consciousness research right now. We have a nonprofit called Field Consciousness Laboratory. And I've never met one person who thinks that what happens on DMT is a hallucination. Not one. which is profound in itself. It's just, I don't think we can understand it yet.
I mean, on the topic of consciousness, I mean, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on remote viewing and ESP and all that kind of stuff?
With what we know now about consciousness and what they're starting to prove with Rupert Sheldrake and those other guys, if consciousness is external to the body, your brain is kind of like a consciousness radio receiver that's tuned to a frequency. You ever heard of sudden savant syndrome? This happens when somebody gets in a car accident, bumps their head, and suddenly they speak French. And they've never learned French. Ever. This is well documented. Or somebody bumps their head, falls off a bike, and then they're an expert genius at calculus. Or they can suddenly play the violin. It's called sudden savant syndrome. And so there is no possible scientific explanation for it. None whatsoever. So if our brains are little receivers of consciousness, maybe this like a little bump on the head or a little head trauma somehow modifies that dial to where that person just shifted the frequency that they're tuning into or something. And if sudden savant syndrome can start to show us things like that and how people experience that, and you've got this stuff out here called the telepathy tapes now, where it's showing us like we have no idea what's going on. But maybe that's what remote viewing is. It's like that person just has a skill to be able to hit that tuner knob the right way, to be able to just tune into another piece of consciousness above a file on a desk in Moscow somewhere.
Yeah, it's just talking about consciousness, so I wanted to bring it up. But you were talking about towards the beginning of the interview, I believe, that you're talking about words, and then how words can't describe, certain psychedelic experiences, other experiences. And, the first guy that I guess actually the second guy that I interviewed about it was Joe McMoneagle, and he had talked about, I had asked him about, why do you have this? Why doesn't anybody else have this? He says, I think we all have, the capability to potentially do this, but it's been lost through generations of technology. And actually he brought up, the first thing that he brought up was language. And he had mentioned, at the beginning we would travel in packs, and it was grunting and body language, facial expressions, things like that. Then we developed language, and it's just it's a less efficient way of communicating. We think it's more descriptive. Maybe it is, but we had lost the ability to immediately communicate without words. And when you think about it, I mean, it's
Yeah. So if you think of a parasite, like an actual parasite, it needs a host to replicate. It invades the host without the host knowing. It uses the host to replicate itself, and it changes the host behavior so that it can replicate itself. And it modifies the host behavior overall. That's language. Language follows all the criteria of what really defines a parasite. So it's interesting that there's a theory out there of language becoming some kind of alien parasite, but it doesn't have to be alien. The grunt that you were talking about conveyed depth and meaning. The word is a description. The word points to something. The grunt conveyed something and passed on information and passed on feelings. And instead of grunt just meaning I'm hungry, the grunt means I'm hungry, I've had a bad day, and several other things. I'm tired. And it conveyed information without describing things. So language was invented initially to just sell chickens and exchange them for rice and stuff like that. And they started this with cuneiform, where they would put little symbols on tiles. And even prostitutes had this little tile that would convey this. And it was like the first printed receipt were these little cuneiform tiles. So language was designed for describing and conveying some kind of data. not for really giving deep meaning about a lot of stuff. And that's why it's so challenging to really do that with language. So this French philosopher, his name is Jean Baudrillard. He wrote a book called Simulacra and Simulation, where he's saying, for the rest of humanity's history, we will live in a world with more and more information and less meaning. Because everything is pointing to something. So like the Instagram is pointing to something. It's a simulation of something. Disney World is the ultimate simulation of something that's pointing to another simulation that has no origin. It goes pretty deep, but a lot of what we do in our lives is a simulation of something. If we look at Walmart, it's a simulation of a market with like wooden baskets around there. They're simulating an environment that might be familiar to our ancestors. So a lot of our lives are representations of things instead of the thing itself.
Interesting.
And we get obsessed with it.
Interesting. Well, Chase, fascinating discussion, man. I am really happy we connected.
Me too, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Cheers. I'm Shawn Ryan, former Navy SEAL, CIA contractor, and host of The Shawn Ryan Show. Much of my life has been dedicated to seeking truth and getting answers, no matter how uncomfortable the questions are that we have to ask. But in the age of the PSYOP, that search has never been more difficult. In September of 2022, the U.S. Army's 4th PSYOP group released a cryptic video on YouTube.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
Between clips of troops assembling chess pieces and social unrest, phrases begin to appear on screen. They ask, have you ever wondered who's pulling the strings?
These are the Psy-War soldiers.
The series you're about to listen to is an attempt to answer that question, and an even bigger one. The global power brokers that conduct psychological operations constantly evolve. Technology like AI has evened the playing field, and now, in the era of social media and the democratization of information, all it takes to conduct a PSYOP is a smartphone.
Like and subscribe.
In each episode, we look at a different method of psychological operations, how they've evolved, and how they are being deployed. There's a quote that is attributed to a scientist named E.O. Wilson that says, "We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom." This is a life raft in that sea of both information and misinformation. PSYOPs are all around us. They're conducted by corporations, governments, activist groups, intelligence agencies, foreign adversaries, and anyone who knows how to shape perception to get what they want. The series provides an in-depth look at how these PSYOPs work, from conversations with whistleblowers, experts, historians, tech innovators, and more. We look at world events that are being shaped by highly constructed psychological operations specialists, and look at the terrifying possibilities of where this could all be headed. Along the way, you'll learn about everything from Russian troll farms, fake ghosts in the jungles of Vietnam, and mind control cults, to the CIA's involvement in Hollywood.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
The early history of PSYOPs and psychological experiments laid the foundation for what we see today in modern campaigns that seek to divide culture over polarizing issues. We look at where we are and how we got here. But ultimately, this series is a toolkit to help you understand how you're being manipulated and how to spot the signs of a psyop. Before the Army's viral psyop recruitment video ends, the words on screen inform viewers that war is evolving and all the world's a stage. This series is a peek behind the curtain. Welcome to the psyop. Buy it today at psyopshow.com. No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.